So good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Deb Ratchko, and I'm your KLCOA president. We have about 115 people registered for tonight's meeting, and I see there's roughly 60 in the doors now, but we're going to go ahead and start because we do have a full meeting. This meeting is being recorded, and we're going to do our best to put the recording on. Oh, sorry, I've got a little snag here already. There we go. We are going to do our best to put the recording on our website for sure. The slide deck will be published. We have Sheila Lawrence handling the technical side of the meeting and recording the minutes. And we also have Jackie Gill and Scott Jury handling the chat questions. As we go through the meeting, there will be a few opportunities to ask questions at the time, but most will be saved to the end. We're going to push through because we have a lot to cover, and at the end, we will answer as many of those questions as possible. Please use the chat feature to submit questions at any point during the meeting, and they'll be collected by Scott and Jackie. Your chat will only be visible to the panelists, and when the time is appropriate, the question will be asked verbally. So after some of the guest speakers, we allow questions, but a lot as we go through the presentation will be held to the end. If we don't get to all of your questions, we will endeavor to handle them after the meeting and publish them back with the slide deck and post in an e-blast. So I'm going to start by reading the KLCOA land acknowledgement. The KLCOA respectfully acknowledges that the Kennisis Lakes are located on the ancestral lands of the Mississauga and Anishinaabe and the Wendat in the traditional lands of the Chippewa Nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaty First Nations. The KLCOA specifically pays tribute to our lake's namesake, Joseph Kennis, and his ancestors of Rama Nation, who have had a long connection to this land. The KLCOA recognizes that the Indigenous peoples are the original stewards and caretakers of the land and water since time immemorial. The KLCOA will continue to educate and advocate for the ongoing stewardship of this land that we all cherish. So we have quorum established, and we have a very full agenda with lots of news, updates, and guest speakers throughout. So we're going to try and keep a tight timeline, but please hang on till the end so you don't miss anything. Our first motion on the floor is by Scott Jury, and that is to approve the agenda of the 2023 spring meeting, and it's seconded by Arlene Birch. So if everybody wants to go ahead and do their vote. Sheila, oh, that's okay. Sheila, if you want to let me know when that's complete, we'll go on to the next one.
Okay, so we've got 46 out of 47 voting members approve, and there is one abstention.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then our second motion is by Gino Ariano to approve the minutes of the 2022 fall annual general meeting as presented. Those minutes were in your package that was sent out with your links, as well as posted on all of the e-blasts and everything when you registered. So that's seconded by Natalie Wood. So go ahead and do your voting there. Okay.
So we've got 47 out of 50 approve and 3 abstentions.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Having some technical glitches tonight with a few things. I think it's mainly my user problems, but anyways, I want to thank the KLCOA Board of Directors for all of their time and commitment and dedication to our lake community. It's been a busy winter, as you'll see as we move through our presentation. So thank you to all of those board members, and you'll see all the work that has been done. So our first guest speaker tonight is Detective Constable Tim Nagus from the Haliburton Highlands Community Street Crime Unit. Welcome and thank you for your time. I believe you used to come to our annual general meetings when we were holding them in person at the forest.
I did. And thank you for having me again tonight.
You're very welcome.
So I guess the first thing we discussed earlier was you wanted to talk a little bit about how to continually keep your cottages and your homes in Kennisis Lake safe and secure. One of the big things is for people who are away during the winter to please have someone look after your spot while you're gone, have a neighbor pop in, or at least if you have a security system, maybe turn over the security system to them so they can monitor it while you're away. A couple other things, just general things. Cameras have been very successful for us in the past couple of years in finding those individuals who do break into cottages and steal things from your properties. So if you're considering a security system, those cameras are a great asset not only to you, but to the police in general. It may also give you some reduction in your insurance costs as well if your insurance company is aware that you have security. Around the property, there used to be a notion of planting lots of shrubs and trees around your house or your cottage. Keep in mind that although it provides shade and coolness for your cottage, it also provides cover for someone who might want to break into your home or your cottage. Keep your windows secure with, one good suggestion is cut some hockey sticks, and when you're away from your cottage during the winter months or for a long period of time, put the hockey sticks in your window frames so that would-be criminals can't get in basement windows or upper level windows because the window will not slide. Yes, the option to break the glass is still there, but I'm of the belief that well, a little bit of danger for these folks with they crawling through your windows is not a bad thing. And sometimes they'll leave us some samples that we can also track them down with, so blood or DNA. So again, take those steps to protect the windows from being open. Again, newspapers, if you have your paper delivered to the end of your driveway, have someone again pick those up. If you have a mailbox at the end of your driveway, make sure someone's collecting your mail for you so that the flag isn't continuously up for long periods of time, which is a signal to criminals that there's nobody around. Winter months, again, if you're someone who doesn't come to the cottage at all during the winter, then plowing the driveway may not be a huge deterrent. However, if they have to trek through 4 feet of snow to get to your cottage, it makes it a little more difficult for them. But if you are going to have someone plow the driveway, make sure there's tire tracks going in and out of there on a regular basis so that it does look like somebody is utilizing the cottage. Lights, motion sensors, things like that, so that your lights aren't left on all winter, but if someone does enter the property, they come on, and that does tend to startle people away from your property. Property inside the cottage. So a couple years back, I actually provided some brochures from a Insurance Bureau of Canada, which provided several pages where you could list all of the contents within your house. A really good idea, especially if you are a cottager. So you fill that out and then you take it home with you to the city so that if by chance your property does get broken into and you have to report to the insurance company, you have that list with you with the serial numbers and description of your property on that list. If you don't have any of those brochures, I'd be happy to provide a couple for you that you're welcome to distribute to your members and or copy as you see fit and forward it to them. What else can I tell you? There's ways to identify your property as well. There's a invisible marker, if you will, that can be purchased, and it's actually little tiny chips which enable you as the owner to identify your property. Police do, in some instances, not all forces, do have readers so that if we recover property, we can run the reader over the property to see if someone has marked it with these invisible pens. Engravers are available at Canadian Tire. We have a couple at the detachment. If you want to borrow them, you can come in and leave us some identification so we know how to track you down if you don't bring it back. But we do have those available as well. So objects that you're not afraid of carving into, you're welcome to come and use the engravers as well. Any questions about securing your cottage?
Everybody remember that you just have to type your question into chat and they'll be read out loud.
The other topic, I think, while we're waiting for some questions, was boating safety. A lot of associations have their own guidelines produced now in their bylaws. And while you may have some difficulty enforcing them, sometimes if you put them into your bylaws or into your literature that you provide out to your association members, they may go a long way to assist people in knowing what's kind of expected of someone in the association. I'm the president of the Haliburton by the Lake Association, and we have a newsletter 2 times a year, and hot topics in the neighborhood like speed in the lake, or people walking through the neighborhood with their pets. We often put those things in our news blast outs to remind folks of, you know, expectations of, if you have a pet, you clean up after your pet, you don't leave your garbage in the at the docks or at the park that we have in our association. So again, information is often powerful and a great way to let folks know what you're hoping they will comply with when they're a member of the association or living in the neighborhood and being a good neighbor in general. Water safety, keep in mind for boating, if you have a life jacket that is a inflatable, while you're on your boat, you must wear it. If you have regular life jackets, you're not required to wear it. I don't see why anybody wouldn't wear it, but you're not required to wear it, but it has to be readily available to you. And you are required to have a life jacket for every person and body that is on your craft and anybody that you have in the water. If you have a skier, again, remember that jet skis, a 2-up is just that, a 2-up. It doesn't mean you can have 2 people on the jet ski and tow a 3rd person in the water for skiing purposes. Those jet skis are designed specifically for 2 bodies, not for 3. And you are required to only have 3 on a jet ski, or sorry, 2 on a jet ski, unless it's a 3-up. And again, if you have a 3-up, you can tow with it, but there can only be 2 people on it while you're towing it. Okay, so keep that in mind. For your boats, keep in mind that your safety equipment must be on the boat, readily available. That includes working flashlights. You can purchase safety kits at Canadian Tire or any other hardware store for a fairly reasonable price. Oftentimes, though, those don't come with batteries, and I've been a victim to that myself. So when you purchase those kits, make sure you open them up and make sure that the flashlight has batteries in it. And keep in mind that fines that are given for not having those pieces of equipment are individual fines. So if you didn't have a flashlight and you didn't have a whistle, you're going to get a fine for each one of those. And the fines are close to $400 a piece plus tax. So you can ruin a weekend in a hurry by not having those things on your boat. If you need a list of everything you need to have on your boat, you can certainly ask and I will send you one. And or you can go to Transport Canada's site where all the information that you require to be a responsible boater can be found and is there for free in electronic format. Again, drinking
sorry,
and
I'm just going to interrupt 1 second here. I've just been getting all these texts. Apparently chat is disabled, Sheila.
oops.
Oops is right. I'm assuming Sheila is working on it. I sent her a text, but I've been getting a bunch here, so hopefully we can solve that problem. Sorry, you go ahead and continue.
so-
Sorry,
Sheila-
Deb, it's, I'm not sure what the problem is because from my end, it's fine.
Okay.
I'll keep working at it.
Okay, okay. Oh, it looks like you just got one.
Yeah, Grant DeMarsh
There,
just sent a text.
perfect. So it looks like it is now working. So that's good. I'm sorry to
no.
interrupt.
Sorry, these are coming in from the panelists, not the
Oh.
attendees.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll keep-
so getting back to boating again and safety equipment, just please make sure you have everything you require. And again, check with Transport Canada. Things do change on not always an annual basis, but they can change. So it's up to you as a boater to make sure that you're keeping yourself apprised of what's required of you if you're going to be out on the water. For folks who rent out their cottages to well, to anybody for that matter, if you are renting your boat out as part of your rental, then you, the owner of the boat, are responsible to make sure that those folks that are going to be using your boat, number one, have the equipment on board and are qualified to operate the vessel. The person operating the boat, should they not be trained and they are stopped by the police, of course, they will be the ones receiving the ticket. But if there's an accident, you could be held liable if you have not done due diligence to ensure that the folks you're renting your property and or your equipment to are not properly prepared and properly trained to do so. I think I'm getting close to the end of my 10 minutes. Is there anything specific anybody wants to ask before I'm
I know there was one other thing that we were interested in your viewpoints on, and that was on road safety. So pedestrians versus bicyclists versus vehicles. I think it's obvious, but maybe you can give us some insights onto things to remember when you're out there as any one of those people.
So as a motorist, obviously you're ultimately responsible for making sure you don't run anybody over. I think that's the most important point. If you are a cyclist, then please make sure you're following the rules of the road. Make sure that you're wearing high visibility equipment. Make sure that your bicycle is highly visible. Ensure that you as a cyclist also share the road. Like there's oftentimes, I know going back and forth, and especially as a police officer, you have people that are not riding where they should be on the road. And it could be extremely deadly when an officer is responding to a call. If you're in the middle of the road or not where you're supposed to be when we come around a bend responding to a call. So even as just a general citizen, it's equally important for you to make sure that you're watching for cyclists. Cottage country has a diverse amount of targets or obstacles, not to mention, bear, moose, deer, turtles, and in cottage country in the summertime, our children, our grandchildren are at the cottage. So as a parent, grandparent, you're gonna have to be have your head on a swivel to make sure that you're watching where your kids are at all times. And if you're out with them on the bicycle, again, teach your kids where they should be riding, where they shouldn't be riding. Again, knowledge is power. So remind folks coming back up to the cottage in your newsletter of those hazards that they're going to face as they return back to cottage country. There's another great way to increase the safety surrounding your summer home. Speed limits, again, the limit is just that. It's a limit. Can't go faster. There's nothing to say you can't go slower, right? Especially in our remote areas and our cottage roads. The roads up here are windy, twisty, bumpy, bendy, and you really do have to pay attention to your driving habits. I used to work in the city, and I can tell you the difference between driving on the 404 and then hitting Highway 48. And as you slowly get into the higher end of the cottage country, sometimes you have to be watching your foot because it's sometimes hard to go from the one traffic flow to the other. So again, if you're commuting, Just be cognizant as you leave the city area that you gotta slow down. And when you're here, slow down even more, please. Okay, any other questions?
Thank you. I think we may still possibly be having a problem with chat. I'm not seeing any come up. So I think what we'll do is we'll just, if you're okay with this, collect those questions once we get chat enabled, and then just I'll forward them to you in an email and you can give us some answers, hopefully, and we'll post them back to people in the next few days.
Absolutely. If we have any literature that we can send you, please feel free to ask for it and we will
Okay.
forward it to you.
And we will ask for that inventory sheet for sure, that you,
Okay.
a copy of it, and then we can send it on to our members. So thank you so much for your time. You've given us a lot of helpful hints and realities that we need to keep in mind when we're on the road, on the water, protecting our property. So thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Before we move on, Sheila, do we have any?
It should be working. If somebody can try chat.
Send a question in. In the meantime, we are going to move on. There we go. So our next guest speakers for tonight are our Dysart Mayor Murray Fearrey and our Ward 4 Councillor Carm Sawyer. I don't know, are you, if you could share your screens and unmute, that would be wonderful. So welcome, gentlemen, and thank you for your time. And again, hopefully we have chat figured out here and we can ask you questions, but if not, we'll do the same thing. We'll collect the questions when we get chat sorted out. And I'm still getting messages that say it is showing as being disabled. So we'll continue working on that. Are you able to unmute and okay. Sheila, I have lost them.
They've dropped off.
Okay. So I think maybe what we will do, hopefully they will try and sign in again. We're going to have to watch for them. We'll move on in the meeting, and then if they can pop back in, we'll jump back to them at that point. So we're going to go through our events and program highlights for 2023. We've had a lot of things on the go. We'll start by just talking about our membership. We have 540 paid members as of May 15th. We average about 600 per year out of a potential approximately 900. So that's a good percentage, but we would absolutely love to have everyone on the lake as members so that they can get all of the information and participate in events, etc. So if you know you have neighbors that are not members, please encourage them to join. There's also a lot of unclaimed previous year stickers at the Marina. And if these stickers are not picked up by the end of this year, they're not going to be available any longer. We're finding that the envelopes are getting full and it's a big job for the Marina to keep track of. So stop in, grab a coffee and pick up your sticker over the next month or so would be wonderful. So our roadside cleanup event has already taken place thanks to Natalie Wood and a big crew of volunteers. It's always sad to see the amount of garbage that has been picked up, but it is encouraging this year to know that there was less deliberate dumping than in previous years. So I think people, when they know that we're doing these cleanups, hopefully it's sinking in that, no, we're not actually supposed to dump garbage there. So thank you to Natalie and the crew of people that participated there. So a new event that we have for this year is, well, our KLCOA webinar series, but it's a new webinar called Bugs in Our Muck. I love saying that name. It's benthic biomonitoring on the Kennisis lakes. We've been in the monitoring program for several years now, and it's a program through the ULinks, Center. And we've got the webinar that's happening with a guest speaker, Sadie Fisher, who is, she's got a lot of interesting things to share with us. This webinar is good for ages 8 to 88 or 98. It's a kid-friendly webinar, and there will be a contest, which will give you more details later. So it should be a fun webinar. It's on Wednesday, May 31st, and you do have to register for this event. So it's been in the last few e-blasts, and it will come out again next week, or later this week, actually. By the end of the week, it'll be there again. So sign up. It's an hour long, and it'll be a lot of fun, just counting the creepy crawlies in our muck. Ladies of the Lake. Each year we have over 100 ladies who get together to catch up, share stories, and meet other people on the lake. This year, our host is Phyllis Walton, and the host charity is Search, and the event is on Saturday, July 1st with a rain date of July 2nd. The registration for this event will be coming out very shortly in an e-blast, and it'll be on our website as well. Fireworks, Saturday, July 1st, rain date of July 2nd. Again, we expect to have a great show. We're still working out some final logistics. We want to say a thank you to Susan Marlowe, who last year donated her pickleball proceeds from, I believe it was lessons that she did, or workshops that she did, and she has donated those to the fireworks. We're currently working on our sponsor for this year's fireworks. We don't have it confirmed yet, but if there is any interest in sponsorships, let us know. The Rock Bass Fishing Derby is on Saturday, July 8th. Thanks to Mike and Kelly Neely for organizing this. And more details will be coming out on this event as well, but it helps decrease the invasive rock bass population in our lakes. So well worth doing. I think each year we're getting bigger and bigger groups. So that's another wonderful event to participate in. Art on the Dock, this is our 9th annual event, and it's on July 15th and 16th this year. We have 31 artists, and we're trying to decrease the number of locations and consolidate artists so it's fewer spots to have to visit. I think we have approximately 12 this year. So thank you to Janice Parker for doing an outstanding job in coordinating all of this. And thank you to sponsors Parker Pad and Printing Company and Viper Marketing for their sponsorship of the event. The regatta. This year, we're excited to have Karen Harding and Beth DeMarsh as co-coordinators for the 63rd annual regatta. I know they're busy planning right now and will soon be reaching out for volunteers. I do know they're currently looking for lifeguards, so their contact information is on the slide, as well as a whole email will be coming out soon with contact information in. So if you're a lifeguard, please reach out soon. They will be reaching out to let you know what they're looking for as volunteers in the next while. So we're looking forward to another exciting regatta. The Sailing Regatta, Sunday, August 6th, with a 1 o'clock start, and more details will come out there. If you're interested in registering, contact Jim Prince. Our history book, we're now working on phase 1 through 4. This is a long and tough process. Thanks to Natalie Wood, our project coordinator. She's been keeping everything going, and we will keep you up to date. It looks like our target date now is the end of 2024. There is one story in the latest Kennisis Breeze, the history of our dam, just a bit of some information that has been collected, and we thought we'd give you some sneak peeks on some of that. There's also been a lot of interest around Joseph Kennisis, who he was, where he traveled through our area, how he traveled, what he did. We're going to hold that information. We're going to say you're going to have to order the book to find out about Joseph Kennisis. So there'll be more on him later, but that project is still underway and is very exciting. So now we head into some of our stewardship programs, and I'm going to ask Vice President and Stewardship Director Jim Prince to sign in and do the next few slides for me.
Yeah, thanks, Deb. Happy spring, everybody. We've got all the features of spring, including the bugs and a bit of nice sunshine and wet weather. Just going to talk a little bit about the stewardship work we do with the KLCOA and community members that are involved. We have 3 focus areas: natural shorelines, healthy septic systems, and to make sure we're doing all the right things, some water quality monitoring. And as you all know, it's all about the water. That's why we're here, and we have waterfront properties. Next slide. Yeah, so just put us back to 2021 when we did the survey. 99% of respondents said that maintaining our excellent water quality is important or very important. We know that that was expected from the survey. And as you know, it's one of the primary contributors to our enjoyment of the lake and to our property value. So it's really important to protect the quality of our good water. In terms of what the KLCOA has been doing in sustaining our good water quality, we've been working on keeping our shorelines natural with the tree and shrub bulk programs. We've put in over 10,000 plants with the community help. Community have bought those and planted them. We've hosted many shoreline restoration programs, including accessing grants and supporting local service providers like Abbey Gardens to step it up and be a service provider for shoreline naturalization. We've been helping folks on the lake to manage the septics properly, including lots of education. We've had workshops, and we've been working with Dysart on the reinspection bylaw advocacy, especially when the first one was implemented. And we're working with them again, and you'll see that. That's okay. And the last one is keep tuned, because there's been a bit of a push to eliminate or minimize the use of fertilizers and pesticides. It seems logical that we should be doing that, but we currently have no bylaws at the county level or the municipal level for fertilizer and pesticide control. So, we haven't done anything active. We're monitoring that, but keep that one on your radar. Next slide. For 2023, we're taking a little bit of a different approach. We've partnered with Lipsey Lake, Redstone Lake, and Growler Lakes, and we're doing a restoration project delivered by Abbey Gardens. It's shadowing the one we did last year, where we actually got a Haliburton County Development Corporation grant, and we did 11 properties, and we came up with a format for putting together an assessment, a report, acquiring the plants. This is what Abbey Gardens will do, and then assisting with the planting and follow-up. The cost last year was about $400, and without the HCDC grant, it's up to $480, but it's still a very, very reasonable way to renaturalize shorelines that were either turned to grass or you're having trouble with erosion or some problems on your shoreline. The information on that program can be obtained from the Abbey Gardens website. There's the link. And we will be hosting a shoreline restoration workshop on Friday, July the 7th on Redstone Lake. All the Lakes Association members and community are invited. There'll be no cost for that. There'll be some refreshments and there'll be some plants to take. Go ahead, Deb. A little bit of an update on the shoreline bylaw. So this was a bit of a controversial issue over the last few years. Again, hearkening back to our survey, 91% of the respondents feel that encouraging natural shoreline was very important or important. That was direct out of our survey. And 87% of the respondents felt that the tree and planting programs were important or very important. So we got pretty good signal from our community that this is important to monitor. You may or may not know that in August 2022, Haliburton County passed a shoreline preservation bylaw. It's now in place for Algonquin Highlands, Highlands East, and Mindenhall, 3 of the 4 municipalities in Haliburton County. Dysart et al. Opted out of the Haliburton County bylaw, in my opinion, unfortunately, but that's where we are. And but the Haliburton County tree preservation bylaw is still in place. So if you are going to do any type of planning, anything on your shoreline, you really need to check in to make sure you're doing all the right things. Dysart is in the process of developing a new shoreline alteration bylaw. We as the KLCOA have been participating in that consultation process. So myself and a few other people went to the initial meeting that was held. And the public consultation is unfortunately closed. They're on a bit of a fast track with this. So right now the KLCOA is in monitoring mode. We're monitoring the bylaw development, and we will be encouraging dialogue to implement an effective but sensible regulations, including strong education components, so people know what they can and can't do. Next slide. So we've had a bit of a nasty report in the fall of 2022 on Kennisis Lake Road. One of the property owners there clear cut all the trees and vegetation from the road to the lake, approximately 60 to 80 feet wide. If you don't travel on Kennisis Lake Road, you wouldn't see it. If you do, it's quite obvious. Several of the Kennisis Lake residents reported the infraction to Haliburton County, who has the jurisdiction for the tree cutting bylaw. The residents also happened to report to the KLCOA that this happened. We don't do the direct reports. We encourage citizens to do that. The Haliburton County Forester does, though, report to the KLCOA regarding what happens in terms of infractions and penalties. So in this particular case, the owner was fined and has a restoration order for where the trees and vegetation were removed. So I think it's important that you be cautious. You do some investigative work before you do any work on your shoreline. Removing trees or vegetation, and check with both Haliburton County and Dysart. We are in this transition period where the county tree preservation bylaw is in jurisdiction and Dysart doesn't really have an alteration bylaw yet. So it's important to check with the 2 jurisdictions before you do any shoreline. Next slide. In terms of septic health, we are hosting a septic system workshop on the target date is July the 15th. That's actually confirmed. And it's about keeping your septic systems performing well and our lakes healthy. For the folks on the call tonight, or on the webinar, or on the meeting tonight, those folks that are new to the lake, or those folks that really haven't done much with their septics, this would be important for you to maybe pick up on this. There'll be a septic system overview, some tips and tricks for a healthy septic system. We will be doing a full inspection and a pump out, and then the Dysart rep will be there to talk about what to expect next when Dysart comes back and inspects our septic. So it's been 5 years. They said the program would come back in 5 years. I think it'll be a little bit longer, but we're going to ask them to talk about that. So the guest speakers at that workshop will be Mike Graham from Home Pro and Brianna Quinn, who's a sewage system maintenance inspector for Dysart. And we'll have coffee and snacks if you can handle them while the pump out's going. The other aspect that we're working on is water quality monitoring. So we have been doing Lake Partner Program water quality monitoring with citizen science volunteers. We are fortunate to have the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks doing lake trout water quality monitoring, and we do our own lake association testing. We were a little bit on our own with that. We were early adopters. We started doing it when we had some pretty nasty signals from Little Kennisis. After the MECP came, we had high phosphorus, high nitrogen, and they thought that was either septic systems or perhaps fertilizers being used. And we started our own monitoring program in around 2018. And this is the stuff we did. So up till a couple of years ago, we were still asking the question, are we doing the right thing? So next slide. So over the last, in 2021, planning exercise took place with ULinks and Woodlands and Waterways EcoWatch. I happened to be participating with those folks. And we encouraged 10 lake associations to participate in a Haliburton County-wide program where we're actually testing 24 lakes with 10 lake associations plus Stocking Lake in Haliburton County as the reference lake. I won't go into details, but there are lots of really fantastic outcomes from this program. We've got standard operating procedures. We know what we want to be looking for. We're comparing our lake to Stocking Lake up in the forest, which is a no motor lake, nothing there, no population, nothing to affect the lake. And we're getting some quite interesting results. Our lakes are quite good. And in the next slide, I'll show you where we still have a little bit of a concern. So the 2022 water results in the Kennisis Lakes, we did July and September testing, plus we did one under the ice water sample testing, which no one's done in Haliburton County before. And we're trying to assess what the rising and lowering of the lakes with Trent Severn, if that has an effect. We test 5 basins in the lakes, 2 in Big K, 2 in Little K, and we added Paddy's Bay onto that, which no one had tested before. That water quality report was issued in 2023. And in the next week or so, we're going to be posting it on the website. Most of the water quality results, as I said, are excellent to good, but we're still showing high total phosphorus in Little Kennisis. And if you look at the little map, it's the top right-hand corner. It's the back corner of Little K. And that's the place where we actually had one blue-green algal event and where we had the high total phosphorus and nitrogen in 2015-16 as well. So there's something going on in there. There's a higher population in Little K, but we're keeping an eye on it. It's still 0.01 is the real indicator where you start to have problems. Lower is better, but that's the one spot in our lakes where we just need to really keep an eye on. If you look at the bottom there, that's the reference Stocking Lake. So some of the spots in Big K are as good as the reference Stocking Lake, but Little K jumps up above a little bit in Paddy's Bay. Next slide. Couple good news stories about our lands committee. We have acquired the Soap Pond lands. So I think you may be aware in the south corner of the lake, there's a really nice little bay with a small, almost like a little mini fjord entrance. We now own that land. Dysart actually made it available as surplus. The legal transfer of that was completed in 2022 as part of the Lands Committee Protecting Open Space Initiative. We had a land use principles workshop in 2022, and just a few of the basic principles are: land will be protected in its natural state. It will be open for public use. It retains portage access to Lipsey Lake because there's a traditional right-of-way there. The land use principles will be sent to members for comment. So after this meeting, we've actually, after the land use workshop, we documented the land use principles. We put them on a sign, which will be posted, and we'll get some comments back from the members, and the board of directors approval will follow. The real good news is there are no property tax implications for the KLCOA because Dysart didn't pay tax on it. They gave it to us tax-free in perpetuity. Slide. And in terms of the Soap Pond, these are the land use principles that we'll be sharing with you folks, and enjoy the use of the Soap Pond lands and the water around Soap Pond. Next slide. A couple of other interesting things that are happening around Haliburton County. There's a really interesting study going on in Lake Keshagwiggamog, and it's studying the impact of waves and wakes and the relative importance of each. So we have wind-made waves on Big K, and I really like that because I'm a sailor. We have wakes made by all types of watercraft. And it turns out the Lake Keshagwiggamog organization has got a particular problem with a couple areas and some narrows, and it's actually breaking people's docks up and causing quite a bit of erosion. So they've engaged Dr. Chris Hauser from the University of Windsor to deploy sensor buoys at 10 locations to monitor wind-generated waves and recreational boat-generated waves in 2023, and essentially look at the impact, monitor what the shorelines are doing. It will generate scientific data to understand the impacts of both waves and wakes and on the bottom of the lake. This work's being done to consider factors such as the lake configuration and the shoreline type, really to advise people perhaps how to behave a little bit better in some narrows on the lake. Next slide. I think this is the last one for me. So this is a really important invasive species alert. Dragon Spruce Lake for a number of years have had a really nasty aquatic invasive species called Eurasian water milfoil. There's a very good article about it in the Breeze as well. Tina did a nice job on that. The Dragon Spruce property owners joined together to understand more about Eurasian milfoil and how to best to manage it. They have done mitigation techniques, including putting weighted burlap maps on the lake bottom, harvesting it, removal using divers. Really costly, and they're not winning the game. The video is there, and that will be sent out afterwards around what they've tried to do to mitigate it and how that mitigation process is working. We don't think we have it in Kennisis, although we have not done an identification sampling exercise yet. The best defense is clean, drain, dry, where you practice clean, dry for all watercraft, including canoes and kayaks. So that's a really strong message to send out there that this could come to our lake. There are half a dozen places on the lake where Eurasian milfoil would grow really well, like the Marina Bay, like Paddy's Bay, like some of the other back end of Cat Bay, and it's really nasty. It's basically prolific. So clean, drain, dry, best you can, and let's see if we can keep the Eurasian milfoil out of the Kennisis lakes. I think that's it for me, Deb.
Thanks, Jim. And thanks to all of the stewardship volunteers and committees that work with you on working on all these programs. There's a lot of work goes into it, and it's super important for our lake communities. So thank you.
Deb, I have one more. I forgot one request. For the water quality testing, we're actually had a little bit of a problem this spring in that our regular support vessel, their dock is being rebuilt. And we're proposing to do water quality testing from June the 2nd to the 5th. Can you hear me? Yeah. We're attempting to do water quality testing from June the 2nd to the 5th. And we're looking for a boat that can take 3 to 4 people. It's about a morning of activity. So 3 to 4 people plus the driver. And we out on the water by 9, usually back off the water by 1 o'clock.
Oh, Jesus.
We're all on mute.
Deb,
I
we've
can-
lost you on audio.
I can hear you, Sheila.
Yeah, we've lost Deb.
Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. We've had lots of technical issues tonight. It sounds like Murray and Carm have dropped off again. I'm assuming that everybody could hear the last part of Jim's presentation, so that's great. We will hold off a little bit longer again to see if Carm and Murray pop back in. Sheila, if they do, could you let me know? My understanding also is that we seem to continue to have the technical glitch with chat. So the alternative is that we will allow people to put their hand up, and then we will have to unmute you and get you to ask questions when the time, when it's appropriate to ask that, which would be after there's certain places. I think most of our guest speakers are done. In the meantime, if we don't get this resolved tonight, please send me any questions that you have about any point in the presentation, and we will pick those up and try and get the questions all answered and get them back out to you. So I am going to continue on. We've got a couple more slides here to go, and then we're on to our next guest speakers. So thanks to Coordinator Pat O'Keefe and the group of volunteers who have placed 28 hazard markers and 9 no wake markers on the lake. It's a big job. They are there and they really help out the boating traffic on our lake. A big reminder that not all hazards are marked. Individual boaters are responsible to avoid navigation hazards. There are many shoals and shelves and things on the lake that it's just standard boating knowledge that those things come into play. It's bigger hazards, it's rocks, and there's certain criteria that I believe is posted on our website about how they go about doing it. But if you have any questions, you can email Jim or Pat as to how or why those markers are where they are. Our abandoned dock program in 2022, we've been doing this since 2020, but in 2022, 11 abandoned docks were dismantled and removed from the lake, thanks to a wonderful group of volunteers using equipment and time and a big effort to get these docks out of the way. And in 2022, we also developed a KLCOA dock etiquette policy. That is on our website, and it comes out, it will come out again in e-blasts for people to be cognizant of what's happening, what they're doing with their docks, how they're tying them up, how they dispose of them and everything. By working together and being accountable to each other, we can all ensure proper dock etiquette. So at the spring FOCA general meeting, the KLCOA was honored with an honorable mention for their 2022 FOCA Achievement Awards for doing this initiative. Thanks to Scott and Grant for leading this initiative. We also know that Cottage Life is doing a story in an upcoming issue. I don't know which issue, but keep your eyes open for that, talking about dock etiquette and the importance to many lakes. It's definitely becoming an issue. Our traditional rights of way program, thanks to Gino Ariano for leading this. Their objective is to preserve, maintain, and protect key portage routes. And the goal is to identify key routes in areas that connect Kennisis Lake to the broader Haliburton Highlands area and ensure that these routes are preserved and protected, because what's happening as there's more development pressure in the county, some routes are being impeded by various development or property ownership issues. They're trying to go back and identify the routes, make sure the legal status is clear, and if it is, make sure they're posted and protected so people can use them in perpetuity. This project is supported by Dysart et al. And the committee is looking for more volunteers, especially avid paddlers that are willing to go out and explore the routes and do that sort of thing. So thank you, Gino. Our group propane buy program. So the group started in 2014. It's been growing over the last 10 years. And it's basically Superior Propane works with the group each year to get economies of scale and a lower price than the rest of the market. The group is holding an information meeting on May 30th to allow anyone interested in joining to find out more about the benefits, requirements to convert over if you're with another provider. That includes changing the tank and safety inspections, that sort of thing. If you don't sign up for the year's program before the fixed price is set, then you have to wait a full year. So if you're at all interested, please contact Tacey Wakefield to sign up for that meeting. It's on Tuesday, May 30th at 7:30. And now we're on to our next guest speaker. I know I saw Tegan there. I believe that she is there. Yes, she is. So first of all, Tegan, I want to say congratulations to the Haliburton Forest on their successful collaboration to develop the first OECM conservation area on private land in Canada. So I know Malcolm couldn't make it tonight, but we're pleased to hear what you have to say as far as updates.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was going to touch on that for sure, because that is probably one of our most recent exciting news is, but I'll go through a bit of an update on my end, and then some stuff that Malcolm had provided us as well. So thank you for the introduction. For those that don't know me, I am Tegan, and I am the general manager of the tourism and recreation side of Haliburton Forest. And if you're not already following us on social media, shame on you. Get on Instagram, get on Facebook. That's where you're going to find different events, different experiences, trail condition reports, all of that. So check us out on those different mediums there. So Malcolm is very sorry that he couldn't make it. Typically, we both join in on these meetings, but he had a business appointment that came up that he couldn't reschedule. But I'll just kind of go over, what the kind of beginning of our season looked like, and some new updates, some new events, some new businesses, and maybe one little controversial thing that I'll bring up. And if people have questions, it looks like we'll send some emails maybe around, or maybe have some time at the end for some further questions. So first, I want to thank everyone. Our winter season was brutal in the respect that we got hit with ice storm after ice storm that just brought, I would say, thousands of trees down. I'm not even going to say hundreds, because it was just devastating to our trail system. Hopefully our guests didn't notice that as much as we did. We were able to open up those trails a lot sooner and earlier than were expected, but we had huge crews going out, including myself, days on end. And there were days where we maybe got 2 or 3 kilometers down a trail in one day. There was that many trees down. So, and thank you to those that actually came out and occasionally was throwing trees off trails as we were cutting them and meeting us on the trails. And then that goes with a warning also, and please be patient with us, is that anything that was a snowmobile trail in the winter is pretty well cleared and good to go, but a lot of our summer trails like Normac, North Shore are still going to be covered in trees, as some of you have already seen. Our mountain biking crew has been out giving us great reports. Please keep bringing that information to the office so we know where to concentrate our efforts, but I can promise you our guys started going out today, and that we have hired 2 dedicated staff that are going to start mid-June to do more trail maintenance. So that's really exciting for those that have seasons passes, come in for the day. We encourage you to come and use the property. So we are looking forward to a great summer ahead. As I'm sure many of you know, Haliburton Forest continues to grow. We now own and operate 4 hardwood sawmills in and across Ontario, and that will continue. I'm not as wholly involved in that side of the company. I'm more of the tourism and recreation, but it's a bigger endeavor every day, which is also what takes Malcolm away from commitments such as this one. I may have said this in the past, but in 2020, we purchased a company called Yours Outdoors. And they provide off the beaten path and truly authentic experiences all across Haliburton Highlands. So part of our mandate is to be a good neighbor, be present in the community and benefit the community as much as possible. And we found an opportunity when Barry Martin, the founder and creator and driving force behind Yours Outdoors, needed a succession plan, and he approached us and we purchased the company from him. And he will be retiring at the end of June. So all those operations are being pulled into the main office with myself and Marina Wigmore at the lead, putting those programs and working with the community to do those. So if anybody ever has any cool ideas for programs, let us know. But in the meantime, we run programs with glass blowers. We do mineral collecting, foraging for mushrooms, wild edibles, guided fishing programs, summer, winter. We do introductions to geocaching. You've probably seen some of our promotions around hawk walks and predator prowls. So some really interesting programs we're doing with the Royal Canadian Falconry folks who just moved to the county. And then really exciting and driven by Yours Outdoors and Barry and Angie is we've brought music back to the Haliburton Forest. So it's not the Forest Festival in the sense where, you know, it's 5 days of music, but we're going to do one concert a month in the Logging Museum. This year's theme is Women in Music. We just had our first concert this past Saturday. It was a huge hit. The band was Boreal, and a huge amount of talent, and everybody that came had a blast. The next concert will be June 24th with the Salt Cellars. We will be having Jane Burnett and Makeke on July 21st, as well as Jenny Tai on August 25th. And then what seems to have become a tradition now, Nick and Benton will also be joining us once again on stage in September. So lots of, you know, trying to bring some life back to the forest after, you know, we couldn't gather and have fun anymore together. We're trying to bring everybody back in and enjoy ourselves. The paddle shop a couple of years ago was brought under the tourism and recreation wing of the company instead of forest products, because it is more of an artisanal wood crafting and tells a great story. So Corey is expanding his offerings, and now you will probably, if you haven't already seen, paddles down at Kennisis Lake Marina, nicely branded Kennisis Lake Marina. Those are paddles that are made just up the road from you out of sustainably harvested wood from Haliburton Forest. The paddles that are at the marina are, you know, a bit more of that like lower end paddle that is meant to be like an emergency paddle if your boat breaks down, or an extra paddle. But please remember that Corey is an unbelievable woodworker. And if you are any type of paddler, stand-up, canoe, kayaking, he makes the most incredible paddles you will ever put your hands on. They're all beautiful and they're functional, and he creates them to the exact specifications that you wish them to be, right from the grip to the size to the type of paddle to the finish. I've, you know, paddled my entire life with Canadian Tire paddles that always have that little bump on the top from the varnish. And I finally got one of Corey's paddles, and that bump doesn't exist because he uses linseed oils and hemp oils, and none of those harsh chemicals. So everything he does, he tries to lessen his carbon footprint. And everything that we do here tries to be more sustainable and sustainable all the time. But that said, we continue to expand our quiet use trail network. This past winter, we introduced the Chesil Pond Loop. This is the summer view of the Chesil Pond Loop. And just around the corner from where this gentleman is, we have a new viewing platform that folks are coming out in droves to check out. But it's a beautiful little loop that goes around the lake. It's a bit rough right now, but we need folks to get out there and pound it down. So we have a beautiful trail. We also opened up the Wolf Center Trail. So it's a beautiful loop from the Wolf Center. In the winter and spring, when there's no leaves on the trees, it has a beautiful lookout point over McDonald Lake. And then the idea is that we will continue doing that, and the Wildwoods Walk, which is quite popular, will have some cut throughs, because I know when I drag my kids through the trails, sometimes I just want a quick out. And you don't always want to go back the way you came. So over the next little while, we're going to be creating at least 2 trails that are going to cut those loops into smaller loops. So they're actually stacked loops. So you can either make your journey longer or shorter based on what you'd like to do. And then in March, myself and a colleague, Cameron, we bushwhacked through our property off of Redkin Road. We have a landing just off of there, and Poacher's Trail kind of comes in there. And we've kind of mapped out some what are going to start as snowshoeing trails. But we hope in the future will become more hiking, mountain biking trails. There's just a lot of groundwork that needs to be done. But for snowshoeing, because the snow packs in the holes and everything, it's going to be absolutely beautiful. And there's some stunning ice walls and rocks. If anybody follows my personal social media account, there's pictures everywhere because it's gorgeous. Then this is where the controversy comes in, so please bear with me, but also very, very exciting, and is that we are introducing clay target shooting in the forest. And I promise you, we've done tests. You cannot hear the target shooting from any of the cottage roads. It's far enough off of Watts Trail that everybody's going to be safe and sound. You'll never know that it's there. I was out there the other day with a group of folks, and we had a bald eagle soaring at the treetops levels over us. We had some broadwing hawks doing some mating flyovers with us, and nothing was phased. You know, there are concerns about lead levels in the environment, and we are going to monitor that. We've taken some samples from the beginning before we even started, and our research department is going to be monitoring that as we go, and we're going to change our practices as we go, as there's more environmentally friendly methods and equipment and stuff that we can be using. But the idea is of the experience is that we have a long-standing tradition of hunting and fishing on the property, and this experience is going to fit into that culture, but it's also to help folks gain an appreciation and foster for conservation. There is no one out there that is more conservation focused than, you know, a hunter and a fisher or an angler. Yeah. So the whole point of this is to teach people safe gun handling and traditional uses of land, and fostering that living off the land kind of trend that's happening right now. So if there are further questions, by all means, you know, we have maps, we have more information, but it is going to be a really, really cool experience. It's a lot of fun. We have some great guides coming out, and it's going to be like 2 tours a day starting July 1st. So then on the flip side of that, as Deb mentioned, we had our OCEM. I always forget the acronym, but anyway, we're really excited that this spring we have the new conservation area within our boundaries. So it's at South Fearrey Lake for those that are familiar with the property. And the reason it's significant is that it's not only for environmental conservation, but it's because it's the first permanent conservation area on private land within Canada. So the designation is through our partnership with Nature Conservancy Canada, which is a very strong partnership. We've been working with them for over 5 years now, if not longer than that. But Malcolm is very, very involved with their organization and always has been since he started here. And the area that is being protected is a very ecologically significant 50-acre parcel of land that is this stunning old growth landscape and marsh and just an untouched area. It's absolutely beautiful. It is extremely hard to access. So not necessarily going to be a touristy area, but we are thinking that if there's enough interest, we might try and do some guided hikes in there, but it's going to be a trek. So those that are wishing to be a little bit adventurous, will do something like that. And then a quick update from Malcolm is about the overall health of the forest and growth. So here we go. He says last year was a pretty good year for growth, and so far this year is looking good too. However, beech bark disease is causing havoc in the forest in terms of mortality and decline. And I can say personally, we're seeing that all the time. If you've seen a tree fall on the trail, it's most likely a beech tree. We are really worried about invasive species, so it was great to hear that in the previous presentation to this one, that's a huge issue, not just for water, but for forests. That's how beech bark disease came here. You know, we're worried about our hemlocks. We've lost all our ashes and elms, and so that is a continual hazard, and almost to the point where, you know, that should actually be what's in the forefront, is trying to mitigate all these invasive species that are coming in and destroying our forests. So not only your boats, but make sure that your ATVs, any form of transportation where you might be bringing in seeds, mud, anything from outside the county, make sure that gets washed off before you come up here, and vice versa. You know, you don't want to travel home and bring a contaminant that way either. And firewood. Firewood is the #1 way that invasive species get distributed. So please do not buy firewood from outside of the county, and try and make it even as closer as possible, whether it's a supplier that cuts from here in Haliburton Forest or nearby. That's the best thing that you could do to mitigate that. But as always, if you have any questions about forest health or growth or anything in general, or anything that I've mentioned tonight, the email address is info@haliburtonforest.com. So just really easy, info@haliburtonforest.com. So thank you for allowing us to join the meeting and to let us provide an update. You know, we're all neighbors. We want you to come out and have some fun with us. So we hope to see you out on the property enjoying the trails, lakes, or perhaps a concert. Come out for the canopy tour. The wolf howls are back. We host lots of weddings and different events. There's always something going on at the forest. So please check out our website, our social media channels, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tegan. I don't think our chat feature's working, and we're out of time. So anybody, as I said before, they can forward me the questions and we'll forward them on to you if people have questions. But thank you. You've given us a wealth of information about what's going on, and we look forward to getting out and using the forest. So thank you.
It's Murray here.
Hi, Murray. I was just getting back to you. We've tried a couple of times, but you kept
You know what?
disappearing on us.
Half a kilometer from the hospital, and we're losing our internet steady here.
Oh,
tonight.
dear. Okay, well, why don't we, sorry, I missed the first part of that, but do you want to try and give an update now? And then we'll just collect any questions that we have, and you can just.
I know. I don't just ask questions. If you have questions, why don't we just ask them? I can
Actually,
give you a quick update on, I think you're all interested in short-term rentals, where that is. It went, they moved it to the county, and quite frankly, it's a slow process. We understand there's 3,000 rental units in Haliburton County. So it's a tremendous undertaking to accomplish any kind of a bylaw that works. And so far, we've sent up to the lawyer, and it's back and forth. And I would say we'll be lucky to get the registrations done this year, if at the pace we're moving, which isn't going to make anybody very happy. I think I would like to do something, even if we have to amend it, get something in place to protect mostly the water bodies. On the shoreline protection, as Jim Prince has said, you guys are a little ahead of most of the lakes, by the way. The tree cutting bylaw is still in place. By the way, Tim said that he likes to see the trees cut around the building for protection, and we've got a bylaw that says they shouldn't be cut any more than 5 meters, so we'll have to work on that, but that's only 15 feet. So anyway, we think we're going to have a bylaw in place. We had a look at it again yesterday, and I don't mind Deb sharing that with Jim Prince at some time, so he can look at a little more detail, because he was at the meeting. I know he's got concerns, but I believe we're going to have a process that works faster and probably better. The county at this point is still hiring people, and they anticipate they're going to have 3 applications this year. And if we don't do better than that, it's not much of a bylaw. So I think that we've got feet on the ground. We've hired another bylaw enforcement officer, and we're trying to do all the things that protect the shoreline and stop some of the erosion that's going in, and drainage takes off, and all. There's quite a bit in the bylaw actually, but it's not a permit-driven bylaw, so it's going to be hands-on. And the biggest problem that we're finding is that when you have 700 or 800 square foot cottage, someone buys it, they decide to tear it down and build a 4,000 square foot. So they actually do a lot of damage to the lot. So we're going to catch those people when they do their demolition permit. So I think we're going to do some positive things, but hopefully we will get it done, get something in place here for, I would hope, certainly by the 1st of July, maybe even in June. So that's, and the septic inspection program, like, I think it's about ready to start, but they're doing about 1,500 a year now. And I think they got about, they're on Cache and Musquaby this year. So they've probably got about 2 years left, and then we're going to be starting over. So I think that's the most valuable program. And I did hear about fertilizer. That's a big issue. But I don't know how we enforce it. Like, it's pretty hard. I don't know whether you can pass bylaws to prohibit people from selling it in the area, but then they just buy it somewhere else, at Canadian Tire or Home Hardware, and put it down anyway. But I think education is the biggest thing we're really focused on. And when people buy new lots, we're going to spend the time with them. And when we're doing the septic inspections, we're going to spend time with people. And anyway, I'm pretty confident that we'll get there, and we'll do it faster, and certainly a lot more reasonable than the county. There isn't a county in Ontario that does it from the upper tier, because geography is so big here. It's almost the size of Prince Edward Island. So you can imagine there's 1,000 lakes. So you can imagine all over the place when there's a complaint to find something and then do something about it, where again, we've got people on the ground, to people, and it makes some sense to do it there, in my opinion. So
thank you. I'm not sure if Carm, do you have anything to add? Well, I can't hear Carm. So Murray, thank you. And I think what we'll do is, if people have questions, is we'll have them send them to me and I will forward them to you, and hopefully you can give us an update. I think you covered a couple of the main topics for sure that people are interested in, and we'll go from there. So thank you for your time, and sorry the internet hasn't been very helpful. It's been an odd night on many fronts. So thank you, and we'll talk again soon. I am assuming that he's gone again there. Okay, so next up is the Kennisis Lake Marina. And Jim, I can see you there. I just don't know if you're unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. So we can see and hear you. That's a plus. Okay, thank you.
Great.
Thanks for giving us your time tonight. And go ahead.
Well, thanks for having us on again. And it's an exciting time. It's our 3rd season here as the new owners of Kennisis Lake Marina. And first 2 years have been quite exciting, and we've got some exciting things coming up this year. But I think to go to slide 1 there, Deb, if we could, we did a little slideshow 2 years ago, and we thought we'd just go back and look what we set out to do and sort of where we are today. So when you look through, our objectives back then was to upgrade the store, to install the pickleball court facility, to upgrade the ice cream counter, specialty coffees and smoothies, and to upgrade our mechanical shop. And so here we are today on the next slide. I always think a picture saves a lot of time. So where are we today? On the store, we did significant upgrades, both exterior and interior. I know stuff that's not that exciting, but we did paint the whole store. We did replace the roof. We did some structural upgrades and some expansion to the deck out front, and a lot of sort of cleanup around the area. We did significant grading and cleaning up of the whole lot. As pretty sure everybody's seen by now, the parking lot, we created a better and enhanced parking area. We also added significantly to our docks and repaired them. I think we added over 120 feet of dock last year. So we did a number of upgrades there. And I think as most people know now, we built the pickleball facility and got it completed and got the club up and running. And I think I might just for a moment here turn it over to Lisa Dale, who's running the pickleball club. And maybe she can just say a few words about it because she is, I think most people know, is intimately involved in running it and doing a great job. And so I'll just pass it over to Lisa for a minute and she can chime in on that one. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I won't take too much time. I just wanted to give you a quick update on Kennisis courts. For many of you already know, because we have quite a few members, we've built up a very robust community around the pickleball courts. We have a lot going on, and many people have said to me that because of the pickleball, they've connected with so many people on the lake that they've never known, and they now feel a real sense of community. This has been a very common theme that I've heard from a lot of people, and I'm excited. Everybody's super happy and excited to be there. We have a drop-in schedule every day for the different levels, skill levels, and so people can meet the others of similar skill level. And members can book their own court up to 7 days in advance using our slick online member booking system. And we have lots of events planned this summer. We've got tournaments, one Kennisis tournament. We also have a tournament versus Kennisis versus Stanhope. We have a round robin for 18 to 30-year-olds. And we have pickleball pros coming to the lake from Barrie who are going to be conducting pro clinics again this year. So lots going on. We have also Learn to Play, which our local cottager, Kathy Bodden, has generously offered to teach again this summer. And yeah, that's just to name a few, and lots more. There's opportunities to join, and all you have to do is contact me at cottagecourts@gmail.com, and I will send you all the information that you need to know. You can also play as a guest. Guests can go to the Marina and they can book you a court, a same-day court, and you're welcome to play with a small guest fee with anyone you like. So that's it. I'm looking forward to another exciting year. Back to you, Jim.
Thanks, Lisa. That was great. It's definitely been an exciting part of the Marina, and we're keen to keep it growing. Just looking at other things, I think most people have been to the store by now and seen Kennisis Cafe. So we got that built, have our espresso machine, and our smoothies and our ice cream and our enhanced coffees and teas and everything. So that got in full swing last year, and we're looking forward to that continuing this year. And one of the big exciting things for this year that we have done is we've hired Bruce Holland as our chief mechanic. And I have to say, in looking at this business for the last couple of years, staffing the service part of the business is always one of the toughest ones. And we've talked to people at other marinas about this as well. And we are incredibly fortunate to get Bruce to join Kennisis Lake Marina. He's very well known in the community, and he has worked in the community for many years. Many of Kennisis Lake and Redstone and the local area cottagers know him and entrust him with their work. And we're very excited to have him on board. We feel now we are capable of providing service basically to any type of boat of any size, shape, or brand. Bruce has worked on them all. And I also want to highlight for any of the big boat owners, nautiques, mastercrafts, wakeboard boats, all that kind of stuff, wake surf boats. We have, in addition to Bruce, we have a specialist that we can access on with specific expertise in those and on those brands. So we can basically service any boat and deal with your service needs, any boat that you have whatsoever at Kennisis Lake Marina here going forward. So we're really excited about that development this year. Maybe we'll go to the next slide if we could. This just a few other pictures. Hopefully everybody knows by now, we opened Smoke on the Water. It's being run by Mike Ray of Trust Foods, and he is doing that again this year. They just opened up for a couple of brief stints this past weekend, but they're very pumped to get going again. And they've got a new custom beer going to be offered this season and an enhanced menu. So I've been told. And again, with Mike running the cookhouse restaurant, as well as Smoke on the Water, we can provide an offering here out of our facility that you wouldn't normally be able to get out of a facility this size. So he does a great job and is doing a great job of running that business, and is very excited to really kick it up this year. We got a lot of events and music and that sort of stuff happening there this season as well. The other picture shows just the store, the interior. We did a whole new series of shelving last year, and Steph and Chad and the gang there have got a lot of enhanced clothing and new stuff coming in, and they're off to a great start this year in the store. So there'll be some additions to the product lines there this year that we're pretty excited about. And then the other, I'd say, really big sort of upgrade this year is hopefully everybody's seen by now, where we put up this event tent. And we got a lot of collected feedback last year and the year before, and there was a lot of talk about trying to have something where we could have more community events, a covered area. We really weren't positioned to be able to build a building, and didn't really see that in the cards, but this idea came up. So we've set this up, we're getting it going, and we're very lucky to have Sheila Lawrence and Liz Austin actually helping us out with this initiative, who have been wonderful volunteers and are helping us get this off the ground. And Liz and Sheila, I'm supposed to get another slide in here to provide a little more detail on this, but they can be reached at kennisiseventtent@gmail.com, and we'll post that on our website. And they're going to be the conduit to all the events there this season. So far, we have lined up a kids camp, which will be 3 days a week in July and August for kids 5 to 11. We've got set up yoga classes, art classes, and I've heard about euchre tournaments. And I think we all know there's at least one big music event there, and maybe more to come. So lots to go on in this tent. We're really still just getting it set up and sorted out, but we're very excited about what that could be. And the other thing I wanted to say was the tent, we're open to ideas, and we're new to the tent business, shall we say. And really the idea for this is to provide a location for community type events that we as Kennisis Lake and local community cottagers really would like to have. So by all means, if you got an idea or a proposal, or someone that does, bring it in and discuss it, certainly with us, or with probably more initially with Sheila and Liz, and let's hear it out, because the facility's there to hopefully provide value and entertainment to all of us on the lake. So we're really excited about what that could become. And next slide, please, if we could. We've got also an upgraded website this year. My son Jason Dale actually did a lot of work on this. I think he passed some of it off as some kind of a student project for his university class. But regardless of how he did it, and it's significantly upgraded. And we have an upgraded boat rental section. We've also got some new boats in our fleet. We have 2 pontoon boats now and 4 Sea-Doos, and some upgraded runabouts as well. So we've upgraded our fleet. All that information is on the website. You can rent online now and conduct the booking and everything online. Boat storage, I think with Bruce, we've got a lot of capability there, and that's going extremely well. Service, I've already spoken about with Bruce on board. We're excited about that. And then the events section on our website will encompass all of the upcoming events in the tent and at the marine in general. So we also have Facebook and Instagram. Steph's really good at that, and there's obviously lots of information coming on from her on that front. And go to the next slide. Just a quick refresh on the team. Chad and Steph Burden are running the store and the core marina operations. Bruce Hollins, as we mentioned, is running the mechanical shop. Lisa is running the pickleball club. Mike Ray is running Smoke on the Water. Sheila and Liz are running the event tent. And that's really our operating team. And we really are thankful to have such a great team, and also to have such great volunteers pitching in to make this thing happen. And I just want to make a comment on future plans. We're always open to suggestions. We've had great feedback. There's a lot of experience and expertise on the lake. We just love hearing suggestions. Really, we're always all ears to make this place better for the cottagers. Maybe we'll go to the last slide. And I just wanted to reiterate our objective with this initiative. Really, we're committed to making it the best marina in Ontario, maybe in Canada. I don't know how many people can play pickleball by the lake anywhere in the country, other than crazies like us with this facility. But that's our goal. We also will continue to be very supportive of the KLCOA, and we appreciate all their support. There's emails and contact information here for anyone who wants to ask questions about the marina, about pickleball, about events or anything. And finally, I just wanted to mention to everybody that we really do appreciate, go to maybe the last slide. We want to thank everyone for their support of Kennisis Lake Marina, and that we, with everyone that supports the marina, buying coffees and joining pickleball and bringing your boat in and storing with us and renting from us, it really allows us to continue to invest in this property. And that's what our goal is, to keep making it better and to making this the greatest lake as a result of it. And we want to thank everyone for their support and encourage you to keep supporting us, and we're going to keep moving it forward.
Thanks,
So that's
Jim.
all I say. Thanks very much for
Thanks.
having me
Yeah.
on again on behalf of Gary and Chad.
Well, and thank you guys for everything that you've brought to the lake. And we look forward as the KLCOA to continuing to work with you and sharing the information with our communication tools as well. So thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay, now we're back to some more business part of our meeting. Again, just to get back to the marina, if you do have questions, we're going to have to stick them in an email to me. I'm just going to check to see. I've got a chat. No. Okay. So you can send them to me and we will collect them all and get them out to all the various people. So on to the KLCOA financials. I'd like to introduce our treasurer, Grant DeMarsh. He has been busy getting these set up. Grant, if you could, there you are. Perfect.
All right. Can you hear me clearly?
I can. There you go.
Perfect. Well, good evening, Deb. Congrats on a great meeting so far. It's been a lot of good information, and you always do a good job. So
Thank you.
very good. I'm going to briefly run through the financials. The slide that's up there now, there's half a dozen slides in total. The slide that's up there now is our statement of operations. You'll see there's 4 years of actual results, and then the left-hand column is the 2023 budget. Up in the revenue section, as Deb mentioned earlier, we consistently get about 600 members a year, and that turns into $22,000 in revenue. There are potentially 900 opportunities on the lake for membership. So again, please encourage your neighbors to join. We want everybody to be part of it, and obviously the more revenue that comes in, the easier it is to run the organization, and we'll get into more of that in a second. We also bring in the region of $7,000 or $8,000 in advertising money every year, which is local advertisers. You can see them on the website. You can see them in the Kennisis Breeze, and we thank them as well for their support, and that certainly contributes to the coffers and helps us to run our programs. So in total, we bring in about $30,000 a year in revenue, in and around that range. Expenditures are split into two areas. You'll see programs and events, and then memberships, basically what it takes to run everything from the website to insurance to property taxes to the behind the scenes stuff at the organization. We had 2 low years, as you'll see, in 2020 and 2021. With COVID, unfortunately, we weren't able to run certain things such as fireworks and regatta. So we took in more than we spent for a couple of years. We're now back in the reverse situation where we're actually spending more than we're bringing in. So this year, we believe we're going to spend in the region of $40,000 and bring in about $30,000. We are able to fund that out of the surpluses we generated in 2019, 2021, but we are running out of that surplus money. In general, costs continue to go up as inflation, just the cost of running our business continue to go up. One other thing I'll just make a quick note of, we are now paying property taxes on the 2 Blueberry Islands, and that occurred about a year ago. The Soap Pond acquisition we did this year, or the end of last year, is tax exempt. So we currently own 7 different properties, of which we pay property taxes on 3 of them. Moving on, a couple of slides. Deb, I'll skip over the next 2 slides. The detail we can save for later on. We can skip that one. We can skip the next one. Stop there for a second. As I said, we do have cash in the bank, which we built up over the last couple of years as revenue has exceeded expenditures. We're going to go through most of that this year as we run a deficit. We also have a $26,000 reserve that was built up a number of years ago, and we keep that reserve money separate. It's sitting in a GIC, and it's there in case it may be needed one day. As Jim talked about the milfoil problem, there may be a point in time, and we think it's prudent to plan for that now, where we are going to need some cash for an unexpected, unforeseen event. And we do currently have $26,000 sitting in a GIC, and we'll call that a rainy day fund at this point in time. Over to the next page, you'll see the bottom of the liabilities and equity section. You'll see net assets held as reserve, the $26,000. And at the end of this year, if the budget runs as we believe it will, we would have about $4,000 left in available funds leading into 2024. On to the next slide. Just a real quick recap. We're expecting revenues of about $30,000 this year, and we're expecting expenses about $40,000 this year. We'd like to keep the programs going at the $40,000 level. So we're looking into a few things to increase our revenues. There's 3 areas. One is 4 areas, actually. One is increasing the number of memberships. If we can get past the 600 members, we seem to be stuck in and around that level. If we can look at additional advertising money, and we were able to bring in, I believe, 2 or 3 new advertisers this year, and we continue to look at that. Sponsorships, we had a nice sponsorship last year that money went towards fireworks, and again, we'll look towards sponsorships moving forward. The 4th area to increase revenues, and we'll flip to the next slide, is we are looking at a membership increase of $10 per member, and that would kick in for the 2024 calendar year. This year is set, and we thank everyone. We've got most of the money in already, but we are looking at a $10 increase in memberships beginning with the 2024 calendar year. It's been approved at the board level. We did want to announce it tonight, and certainly I'd welcome any feedback, questions, comments, concerns around that. But in order to continue to run the programs and to run the KLCOA as we believe we need to, in and around the $40,000 revenue, it looks like a membership increase will be part of that. And unfortunately, we can't take questions or comments tonight because I don't think the chat function is working.
You know what, Grant? We are going to try something here at this point because we do need to accept the financials as they stand, but I think it's important that people understand what we have in place or what we're talking about moving forward. So Sheila, we are going to try, if you have the raise your hand function on your screen, which I don't seem to have for some reason. So hopefully people do. If you have your raise your hand function, Sheila can try to unmute you and allow you to actually ask your own question. So Sheila, I don't actually have that function on mine, so I'm not sure if everybody else is missing it as well. I know Grant,
I've
the
got it.
panelists do, but I don't know if participants do.
Yes, yeah, they do, and I've got some questions here.
Okay, so
Okay. So I'm going to try with one of the board members, Joan.
Hi, Sheila. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was just testing it out to make sure it was working.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so it
Okay.
works.
So we've got another
Excellent.
question here. Paul Hannon. Paul, you have to unmute.
I was also testing it out to let you know it's working.
Okay.
Thanks, folks. It appears to
Thank
be
you.
working.
Okay,
the other thing too is that we are more than happy to answer questions, as I said, by sending me an email, and we can get some detailed ones, but let's try. Do you have more?
No, just a sec.
Yeah, certainly, as I say, please feel free to email in any questions or comments you may have.
Yeah.
And we thank you
So-
for your continued support of KLCOA.
And thanks, Grant. As always, a lot of work in preparing this and getting it ready for, and also for getting an approved budget. So as per our bylaws, the Board of Directors approved the budget on March 2nd, 2023. But before we move on, we're going to actually, we've got a motion on the floor, Lynn Larson motion to accept the 2022 financials and the 2023 budget as presented, and it was seconded by Jim Prince. So if people want to vote there, this is to accept the financials into the minutes. We will be giving more information about the board approved increase and details in further correspondence via e-blast and newsletters, etc. It doesn't take effect till 2024, so there is time, but in order to be fiscally responsible, we need to do that, as well as in a moment, once Sheila has those results, we'll go on to just quickly discuss the other aspect that we're looking at to help increase our revenues. Okay, so we have 96% accept. Okay, that's good. Whoops. Okay, so we actually set up a revenue committee to look at the different ways of increasing our funds. And as Grant said, one of them was determined to be an membership increase. We haven't had one since 2015. And we looked at a lot of other lake associations, and they ranged anywhere from $20 to $75. So we felt that that was one way to get our money up, but we also want to we want it to last another 8 to 10 years before we have to do it again. And in order to do that, we felt that looking at basically strengthening our advertising and sponsorship policies were a really good idea. So we already bring in, thanks to Tina, 7,000 roughly in advertising. And we've broken down what that includes there. Last year, we had Haliburton Home Hardware as a sponsor, and they contributed, I believe it was $3,000 towards the fireworks. We decided that we needed to establish a formalized sponsorship package with different things that sponsors got for contributing. And we've come up with different sponsorship levels. We are hoping that Home Hardware, we're working on a plan with them again right now. We just don't know where it sits. But by increasing our revenue through sponsorship dollars as well, it does several things. It allows local businesses and individuals to contribute to one of our events like the regatta or the fireworks, or just to us in general for different things. But by increasing those funds, it also allows us to, as we move forward, increase the number of events that we can offer, or activities or programs. So from year to year, that may be a different amount. And if we know we have particular events that we want to bring forward, we can look for sponsors for those events. So that's another way that we feel we can increase our revenue, allow us to do more things, and not have to do another membership increase for another 8 to 10 years. So again, this information will be posted on our website, and the policies will be there. And if you have any questions or want to come forward as a sponsor or an advertiser, then please reach out to me as well for that.
Drugs.
Somebody did not remute themselves. Yeah, I don't know, Sheila, I don't know if you can tell who's unmuted there. Okay, so with connectivity, the results of our efforts over the last several years to advocate for improved both cell and internet coverage is coming. We're making progress. And we're really happy to say that we've had good connections with both Bell and Rogers in the different areas. And we've advocated with the federal and provincial governments to bring high-speed connectivity to our lake. So Bell is working as part of the Universal Broadband Fund, and they are using that fund to bring fiber to the homes around Kennisis. And from our conversations with Bell, it sounds like all of Kennisis and Little Kennisis will be covered when the project is finished. They're currently laying the cable now, but there's way more things involved than just laying the cable. There's a whole bunch of steps that have to come after that. New equipment, cable splicing, replacing of poles that were damaged by bears and woodpeckers. And in some cases, in the case of Paddy's Bay, arranging for submarines to deal with some of the issues around laying the cable. And I believe there's also a spot somewhere along Wilkinson that is the case as well. So there's a lot of stuff that has to happen before we get to the stage that Bell comes to us and offers service, allows us to start hooking up. The other thing that we're finding out is that the service is going to come in stages. So as they complete all of the equipment upgrades and everything in an area, they will then reach out to people in that area to tell them how to hook up for service. We don't know what that's going to look like yet, but Bell has promised us that they will keep in touch. And as soon as the first area opens up and so on, they will let us know, and we will communicate to you as to how we are going to be able to sign up for fiber to the home if that's what we choose to do. They are hoping that the completion date for our lake is the end of 2023. So it will start in stages, but they're hoping for the end of 2023. Fingers crossed that that happens. And as I said, we'll keep you posted. That's for internet coverage. Cell coverage, Rogers is part of the EORN project, and they have organized 2 towers for the Wilkinson area, and Dysart has given the thumbs up for those areas. The first one is on Wilkinson Road by the Marina. It's a shorter tower. It's a 45-meter monopole, and they're currently, the archaeological assessment has been completed, and they're in the process of preparing for soil testing to determine the foundation and the tower design. Their installation target is the end of Q1 2024. So if everything goes as planned, that first tower should be up then. The second tower is still waiting, the taller tower that is off of Holtz Road, off of Watts Road. It's still waiting on the completion of the archaeological assessment and then has to go through all of the other tests. So that one's expected for the end of the second quarter of 2024. So all good news, it's coming. It's not coming quickly, but it is coming. So thank you to our connectivity committee for all of the work that they've done in working and continuing to work with. Basically, now we're down to Bell and Rogers to keep you informed of what's happening. And as we get information, we do pass it on to you. A fisheries update. That is another long and slow process. Brian Evans has been staying on top of all of the regulations. The regulations have gone through a public consultation now, and they're back again. And it's expected that the new regulations will be completed by the end of 2024 at the earliest. It could even take longer, but Brian will keep us up to date on that as it progresses through. Roads update. In 2022, they completed work on Watts Road, Eastview Road, Boomerang and Winkler, Pine Point and Land Road. 2023 2023 work has been approved by the council for West Shore Road, single surface overlay, Kennisis Lake Road, mechanical brushing, and the Paddy's Bay Bridge deck board replacement starting in the spring of 2023. And then possibly scheduled, if it goes through the budget and everything, Paddy's, the surface treatment for Kennisis Lake Road to Paddy, from Kennisis Lake Road to Paddy, from Paddy's Bay to the dam. So that is what is on the schedule for this year. Thanks to John Middleton for stepping in and continuing with the monitoring and advocacy program on the roads work. Norris Island Endowment Fund, we've had our annual report from them. And you can see their various income and expenses on the slide. And basically, we're promoting joining the Haliburton Highlands Land Trust today. So you can go to, it's on our website, you can go to, under, I think it's under, on each e-blast under, outside of the community. There are ways to sign up. They offer all kinds of activities and things that can be done as well. And they really help protect our lands in the Haliburton Highlands. So that's our Norris Island and the Haliburton Highlands Land Trust. So what's on our radar? We've got a lot of things right now. Most of them are monitoring and watching for factual and educational information that we can pass on to our members. The list is changing constantly as we move through a year, but for now, we're finishing up our review of the ONCA compliance and governance review, and we're going to be covering a couple of things there in a minute. We're monitoring the Dysart site alteration bylaw. The septic inspections round 2 is going to be coming up. We'll be getting information on that. Improved internet and cell service, wave and bulk wakes, the MNR boating regulations, including the update on whether there's going to enforce wearing life jackets, the invasive species, especially Eurasian water milfoil, short-term cottage rentals, the ER closure in Minden, and floating container homes. As information becomes available, we will be putting it out in our e-blast. So make sure you check out the e-blast. We've always got a summary at the top that basically says what's in the e-blast. And if something catches your attention, please go through and read it. There's always information on our website as well. So the ONCA compliance, for the most part, back in 2017, there was a committee then that looked at this because we knew these new guidelines were coming. And so our bylaws were changed and updated, and they did a really good job preparing for this, but there is still going to be a few changes that we have to do, and they will be presented at the fall AGM. Everything will go out ahead so people understand what the motions are that we have to put forward. There's a lot of them are just simply things like wording changes. So for example, we can no longer call our annual meetings AGMs or annual general meetings. They must be called annual meetings. Our spring meeting and any other meeting of the members will henceforth be called a special meeting. So we have to change our bylaws to make sure they all come into compliance there. We're also going to be having to make changes to allow for online, hybrid, and in-person meetings, including the ability to vote. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute as well. There's other minor wording changes and a few more things. So those will start to come out around the beginning of August in preparation for this year's fall meeting. I still have a problem changing the wording that I'm using for it. So our fall meeting, our fall annual meeting, not our AGM. So one of the things, and we did a lot of looking into this and talking to people and verifying that this is true, but we are going to have to change the date of our AGM. To comply with ONCA, the requirement is that our AGM be held within 6 months of the year end. So the board has approved changing future AGMs to the spring. So I'll go through the proposed timeline in a minute, but one of the things that was talked about was because the AGM would be in the spring, it is most likely going to be a virtual meeting. It will be a business meeting only with a few updates on what's coming, but it will be a business meeting that we do our motions, we approve our financials or look to our financials, we do our waiver of the audit, all the things that we have to do at an AGM. In order to facilitate voting, because it's an online meeting, we will use our online voting software called, I don't have the name of what it's called here, Simply Voting. And that software we used for our last election, and it worked very well in that it allowed people to register to vote. And even if they couldn't attend the meeting, enough information went out. At that point, it was all of the board bios, but it could be in this case coming, it will be for this AGM, all of the motions that are going to be proposed with the background and the whole bit, so people can be informed going into it, an opportunity to ask any questions in advance. And then the online voting, whether our meeting is held in person or online, the voting will go out after the meeting and people will have several hours to complete their voting. So that's a lot of words to explain it. There will be many more explanations of how it's all going to work moving forward, but we have got a solid process to handle the voting at our spring AGMs that will most likely be virtual, as well as any other meeting where we have to vote. Even if they're in person, the voting will be handled online after the meeting. So our proposed timeline is that this year's AGM or annual meeting will be as usual in September. We don't know yet whether it is going to be a hybrid, an in-person, or a virtual, because we don't know at this point what our internet is going to be like, but we will be testing out the Simply Voting software and using that process to vote for, because it's an election year, vote for the board of directors and all of these new resolutions that will be coming up as far as changes to our bylaws. Then So one thing, that election of our board of directors will be for an 18-month term, not a 24-month term as usual. March 2024, we will have our next annual meeting. It will be virtual, business only. It will happen in March 2024. Then May, as usual, which is this meeting, we will have our special meeting. It will most likely be a hybrid so people can attend in person or online, assuming we have a really robust internet connection that we can use. And those meetings will focus on education and updates and guest speakers and just be a very informative session. Then September, because we won't be having an AGM then, we don't know. We may have a social function where we get together. That's to be determined. That's why I'm saying this is a proposed new timeline. It's going to be worked on as we go. Our next annual meeting will be March 2025. And again, that is 18 months later. We will have another election of the board. And from that point, it will fall into the regular 2-year election and so on and so forth. So more information will come out about this. For anybody that has any specific questions, please reach out to me and we will try and explain it in more detail. So this year is a board of director of an election of our board of directors. So it will happen in September. As I said, we don't know what the format will be. We are accepting nominations now. And please, if you're at all interested, reach out to my, well, we've got our nomination committee chair, Joan Middleton. You could reach out to myself or our secretary, Jackie Gill. So any of us, if you want to discuss anything or put your nomination forward, nominations will be due by July 31st, because in order to get your bio into the package that goes out so that people can talk to people, they can look at it, they can understand who's running and who they want to vote for and be informed. We need to get those packages out somewhere in that first week of August. So please, if you're interested, remember this first one is an 18-month term and we'd love to hear from you. So thank you to all of the volunteers that have given their time and energy to the KLCOA. That includes the board of directors, committee members, activity and event volunteers. You make our lake community the special place that it is. It takes a lot. It's a lot of people that come together to make those opportunities happen. We're always looking for volunteers. You can use our volunteer database. It's on every e-blast. There's a place that you can sign in. We have quite a few names on it now. So as we go through different events, as we move into the summer, we will be passing those lists specific to those events to the coordinators, and they will be reaching out to you. We do have a few people that indicated that they were interested in finding out more about the board. I will most likely be the one that reaches out to you in the next month or so to talk to you about opportunities there. So thank you to all of our volunteers. Now, this is where we normally ask questions and suggestions and whatever, and we are actually at 6 o'clock. Sheila, do you have any hands up right now? We'll maybe take a couple of questions if they are there. And if not, I think the most prudent thing to do is to actually collect them and do a good job of answering questions and publishing them back.
Yes, I've got Doug Leonard.
Hi.
Hi, Doug.
Hi. Deb, I thought you had commented that the KLCOA was no longer going to participate directly in bylaw development without member input, but that's not what I heard today from Jim Prince.
No, the Dysart approached a bunch of different associations, lake associations, And there was there was quite a few people. We were asked to send a member. It was a meeting that they set up, and they asked people from all these different organizations to come and just give some input. For example, it was run by Carl Corpella, and he wanted to talk to our board member, Brian Evans, because Brian is knowledgeable on fish habitats, and they were looking at how do we cover making sure that those fish habitats are protected. So yes, we were invited to participate. It wasn't we were given extremely short notice for this meeting. We had less than a week. And so we did, I think several lake associations had people there as well as other groups. So, and as more information comes out of that, then we will be going to the membership and giving the updates.
Yeah, but I didn't hear from Jim Prince any comments saying, we would like to solicit from the members your opinion on the current proposed
Doug, at this point,
bylaw.
when
I
we were
heard he's going to add his comments as he sees fit with no direction from the membership.
okay, we were invited to come to the meeting with no agenda, no information on even what. They just wanted to basically sit down and ask questions and have answers. So
I could make a comment, Deb.
okay.
Yeah, so Doug, it was a really interesting meeting. It was 80% builders, contractors, and landscapers. There were 3 lake associations present, and quite honestly, it was a really, really good conversation. And that's all it was. So Murray was there. Our other councillors were there, and it was honestly a probing conversation from Carl Corpella to try and understand what Dysart might want to do as an alternative to the county. So we came away quite happy with it, actually. And all we did was give the same message that I gave in the slide there, that, you know, make education a really important component, make it sensible, and don't go overboard. Take some good elements from what the county has done and do the right thing, because that's what Dysart decided to do. So we've, you know, in my opinion, let's go along with Dysart and help them get this done right.
And Doug, the other thing was that at the same time that meeting happened, they also put out a public opportunity, which same thing we did with the shoreline bylaw. When those public opportunities came out, we put it out in an e-blast to all the members so that every individual could have their say.
Okay.
So
yeah,
sorry,
my
Doug,
only other comment is, if KLCOA can't offer a meeting that doesn't have chat or interaction throughout the meeting, then to me, the meeting is not a quorum meeting.
yeah,
you have
Doug,
to fix that.
Yeah, I apologize. All of our other meetings, we have not had the issue with chat. It's worked out very well, and we were fully expecting to have that happen tonight. And you are absolutely right. This doesn't work well. So we've compensated as we went, and we'll collect those questions. And that's something that we're going to have to try and figure out for the future. We actually don't know why this has happened. And as I said, it's the first time we've had many online meetings now, and they've all been quite successful with the use of chat and questions. And as you know, we had 2 people waiting for the chat questions to come in tonight in order to help facilitate that. So I apologize. And I think we're over time right now, but Sheila, why don't we take one more question if you've got one?
I had one, just a second. Yes, here.
I'm assuming that's Tony Saunders.
Yes.
Hi, Tony.
Yeah, hey, how are you? I just, thank you for the work on the roads, but I wonder if they could comment why Wilkinson wasn't included on that. As you know, Deb, we have like tons of potholes all over Wilkinson, right? And if that's going to be addressed during the year.
So you know what? I think that might be a good question that we will pass on to Dysart to ask whether they're, I believe that part of their regular maintenance is to fix potholes. And we usually by June, they have done a lot of that. So that may just happen. But we'll see. But for sure, we will capture that question and send it on. If you want to just send me an email, that would be great, so that we
No
actually
problem.
have the question in writing, and we will pass it on to Dysart and get them to comment on it.
Thank you.
Okay, I am so sorry that we could not do this chat function properly tonight. Please send those questions to me, klcoa.president.2017@gmail.com. My email's on the website. We will endeavor to answer all of them. You may have more questions now that you've heard the meeting. You can go back. We will get the slides posted as quickly as we can. And if we can, the actual recording of this as well. So those will go on our website, and we'll let you know in an e-blast. So please send the questions, and we will continue to update you as the season goes along. As I said, we've got a number of things on our radar. We'll keep you posted. And thank you, everybody, for attending tonight. And have a great summer. The meeting is adjourned.